right, now let's talk about multiplying radicals if there's multiple terms, not just one. Oh, all right. So just a quick reminder, right? If you have two radicals multiplied with the same indice, all right, same index, excuse me, then you can just move them inside. And again, if you have coefficients on the outside, you just multiply the coefficients. So just a quick reminder, what we've already talked about. All right, example number 1. So if we have the square root of 7 times x plus 2. So you can just distribute that square root of 7. So you get the square root of 7 times x plus the square root of 7 times the square root of 2. The first term can't simplify anymore. Second term can, right? So square root of 7x plus, we can have the square root of 7 times 2. 7 can't simplify anymore. 2 can't simplify anymore. All right, so then that just ends up multiplying that out. So you get the square root of 7x plus the square root of 14. That's our final answer. Oh. Yeah, we made it look a little prettier. Good. Part B. Cube root of x times cube root of 6 minus cube root of x squared. So we get cube root of x times cube root of 6 minus cube root of x times cube root of x squared. So we have cube roots, so we can combine. So we get cube root of 6 times x, or 6x, minus. Once again, we have cube roots, so we can combine. So we get cube root of x times x squared, which of course is just x cubed. And now we have a cube and a cube root, so those two just cancel. So we end up with the cube root of 6x minus x. That's our final answer. Now we have 5 square root of 2 plus 2 square root of 3 times 4 square root of 2 times 3 square root of 3. So we can distribute. So we get 5 square root of 2 times 4 square root of 2 minus 5 square root of 2 times 3 square root of 3. And then we can do the other one. Plus 2 square root of 3 times 4 square root of 2 minus 2 square root of 3 times 3 square root of 3. All right, they're square roots, so we can combine. So square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4. And then we can combine the coefficients. So 5 times 4 is 20. Square root, so we can combine. Square root of 2 times square root of 3 is square root of 6. And then we can combine the coefficients. 5 times 3 is 15. Square roots, square root of 3 times square root of 2 is square root of 6. Coefficients, 2 times 4 is 8. And then same root, square root of 3 times square root of 3 is square root of 9. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. So let's see if we can simplify. So 4, that's 2 and 2. So square root of 4 is just 2. So we see that that's 20 times 2, which is 40. 6 is 2 and 3, so nothing. 2 and 3. So that's as simplified as it goes. And then 9. Square root of 9 is 3, right? 3 and 3. So you end up with negative 6 times 3, which is negative 18. Now notice we can combine the negative 15 square root of 6 and the 8 square root of 6, because we have square root of 6. So same radicals expression. So negative 15 plus 8 is negative 7. So we get negative 7 square root of 6. And now we can just combine the constants. So 40 minus 18 is 22. So we get 22 minus 7 square root of 6. That's the final answer. Part D. So just do the exact same thing, right? So we take 6 square root of 5 and multiply it by the two terms. We can do it that way. And then we take 3 square root of 2, multiply it by both terms. All right, square root of 5 times square root of 5. So actually we can just see that that's 5, right? If you have square root of 5 times itself, that's just squared. So square root of 5 times square root of 5, there's 5. So we get 5 times 2 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 30 times 2 is 90. All right. Square root of 5 times square root of 2 is square root of 10. And 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. Square root of 2 times square root of 5 is square root of 10. 3 times 2 is 6. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is just 2, right? It's the same number being squared. So we see that's just 3 times negative 4 times 2. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 24. So minus 24. And then, of course, we can combine these two, right? Because they have the same radical expression. So negative 64 plus, or sorry, negative 24 plus 6 is negative 18. So sorry. I'm sure you already saw this, but 30 times 2 is not 90, it's 60. So there we go. All right, so we can combine the coefficients to get 36 minus 18 square root of 10. And can square root of 10 simplify anymore? So that's 5 and 2. No. So that's our final answer. 36 minus 18 square root of 10. All right, so let's just look at some more. So square root of 3 plus square root of 7 squared. So that's just going to be square root of 3 squared plus square root of 7 squared, right? So 3 plus 7, 10. Hopefully, you saw that that is not correct. But that is the most common thing that I see when it comes to mistakes with this type of problem. Now, why can we not do that? Because we have a plus sign, right? Because we have a plus sign, this is going to be a distribution problem, just like the other ones were. So the correct way to do this would be square root of 3 times square root of 3 plus square root of 3 times square root of 7. Plus square root of 7 times square root of 3, plus square root of 7 times square root of 7. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is just 3. Square root of 3 times square root of 7 is square root of 3 times 7, which is square root of 21. Same thing when you just flip them, square root of 21. And then square root of 7 times square root of 7 is just 7. So we can combine the constants, the numbers by itself. So we get 10, and then we can combine the radicals, right? So remember there's an invisible 1 in front, so 1 plus 1, that means there's 2 of them. So final answer, 10 plus 2 square root of 21. All right, so if we do this one, we get square root of 7 times square root of 7 minus square root of 7 times square root of 3 plus square root of 3 times square root of 7 minus square root of 3 times square root of 3. So square root of 7 times square root of 7, that's just 7. Negative square root of 7 times square root of 3, negative square root of 21. Square root of 3 times square root of 7 is square root of 21. And then square root of 3 times square root of 3 is just 3. So if we're subtracting, that's minus 3. Notice that the inside numbers are going to cancel out, right? Minus negative 21 plus square root of 21. So we end up with 7 minus 3, which is just 4. And if you actually notice, right, this is just the difference of squares. When you have one term times another term where it's subtracted and added, right? Notice it's just going to be the first term squared minus the second term squared, which in this case would just be square root and squares cancel. So we get a, square root and roots cancel, minus b. Right? But if you want to do it the long way, right? You can see square root of a times square root of a plus square root of a times square root of b minus square root of b times square root of a minus square root of b times square root of b. So square root of a times square root of a, that's just a. Square root of a times b is square root of ab. Square root of b times a is square root of ba. And then square root of b times square root of b is just b. Now notice, if you multiply, right, it doesn't matter if you multiply 2 times 3 or 3 times 2, you end up with the same thing, right? So we can just flip this and say a plus square root of ab minus square root of ab minus b, right? Which means these are just going to cancel, and you're left with a minus b, just like we said. And that's it. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, as always, have a great day.